I've been down this road before, too many times. I know what comes next, and I know it will be slow, protracted, and painful. On Friday last week, a worker was injured on a demolition site in Scotland. On Saturday, he died from his injuries. He leaves behind a wife, 6 children, family, friends, and colleagues, all of whom must now figure out how they will go on without him. There will be tears, there'll be regrets, possibly some anger and frustration. Then there will be a funeral, and then there will likely be an agonizing wait for explanation, for closure, and for justice. The 10th anniversary of the Didcot disaster, in which 4 demolition workers lost their lives, will soon be upon us. 10 years, an entire decade, with no answers yet forthcoming. The site upon which Derek Russell was killed last week was far less complex than the fossil fuel power station at Didcot. But a lack of complexity doesn't mean that the findings will arrive anytime soon. The underfunded and understaffed health and safety executive generally turns around its findings on a fatal site accident in 4 to 5 years. Assuming that's the case, Derek Russell's family will not be granted any real closure before 2030 or beyond. 6 children left without a father, and the best we can hope is that the HSE delivers its findings before they reach adulthood. And that, of course, should be the primary concern, that the family of Derek Russell receives the support they need and the closure to which they're quite rightly entitled. But beyond that, what? What happens next? How does the demolition industry respond beyond trite expressions of thoughts and prayers? If, as we continually tell ourselves, each incident, accident, near miss, and fatality is a learning opportunity, are we really willing to wait 4, 5, or more years for that education? If the HSE can't deliver meaningful findings in a timely manner, are we willing to just let that time elapse? Are we as an industry saying there are lessons to be learned here, but we're willing to wait? Are we willing to potentially expose workers to the same hazard that killed Derek Russell until the HSE finally delivers its findings? Are we willing to accept that yet another site fatality is just another number in the industry's league table of death? So what's the alternative? Well, if the health and safety executive is unable to carry out accident investigations in a timely manner, then maybe we should. Maybe the industry should. We have in our midst highly trained and respected demolition consultants and experts who regularly advise on the safest methods of demolition and deconstruction. Why not engage their skills to carry out our own independent investigations to ascertain the true cause of a demolition accident or fatality? I'm not talking about making them judge, jury, and executioner. I'm talking about using them effectively as forensic experts, purely to ascertain the likely cause of a death. No appointing of blame, just the cold, hard facts of what happened and why. Obviously, that notion of independent accident inquiries is not without its challenges. There's a concern that the findings of such an inquiry might prejudice an ongoing investigation and possible prosecution. And it's a fair point. What's the alternative? Do we all just go along as before, placing more men and women in harm's way just to safeguard the validity of a protracted investigation? And what's more important here, a successful prosecution or the safety of the thousands of demolition workers on site right now? There is also the concern that the findings of an independent inquiry shared with the wider industry as a safety advisory could be used by unscrupulous rivals as a stick with which to beat the company that suffered the accident. I'd love to say that wouldn't happen, but knowing the industry as I do, I fear that it might. Any independent accident report would need to be carefully presented and its circulation managed, perhaps through a respected body like the Institute of Demolition Engineers. And then, of course, there's the issue of cost. Vital as they are, independent reports would not be cheap. Then again, parts of the industry pay thousands in membership fees to a federation that does precisely nothing for them. Maybe they'd be better off investing that money more wisely in an investigation, understanding and prevention of accidents instead. Perhaps the industry could employ the services of recently retired demolition engineers to carry out these investigations. They have the time, and maybe they wouldn't have quite such big overheads as a larger organisation. There's a lot of ifs and buts and maybes here. It's not a thoroughly considered suggestion. I am, after all, just a journalist. But it's clear that the investigating authorities are in no hurry to provide answers the industry so desperately needs. The sector either needs to figure out how to investigate these accidents themselves, or we must accept that there will continue to be accidents, prosecutions a decade later, no learning, no closure, or justice in the space between.